Republican, because she represents something distinctly different.
Anecdotally, there are many people I know who have always been very sceptical of the royal family, who just cannot help themselves but be interested in this wedding. You know, in spite of all of their ideology, they just can't help it because they feel compelled by her. And look at who she's invited. She's invited other self-made people. There are black icons here: Oprah Winfrey, Idris Elba, Serena Williams. These are people who have real meaning for so many people, and also she's giving a platform to other black talent. She's got the Kingdom Gospel Choir performing, the Episcopalian Bishop Michael Curry. She has Sheku Mason, the young black cellist, performing. It feels like she is really opening a space for other black talent, and that's something that even people who are not a fan of the royal family feel very passionately about.
Well, so interesting. We could talk all day about this, but I'm afraid we've got to fit other stuff in too. You look splendid. We hope you enjoy the day. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you later on as well, Afra, to carry on with this. Social media-wise, what have we got here? This is from Kat, made sure all my homework is done in time to sit down for 9 a.m. Boom, super excited. Jacob having a barbecue with the family just after the service. I've met Prince Harry on a couple of occasions. Oh, you're name dropping, Jacob. He's a lovely but down-to-earth guy, caring guy. Meghan is very lucky.
You get to name drop today. It's kind of all about the name dropping. And please do keep that coming. Tell us how you're celebrating the royal wedding. Maybe you've met Prince Harry too, or the bride-to-be, or maybe you've got some sound advice about how they might cope with their nerves, or maybe you're getting ready for your own wedding today. Get in touch at BBC One using the hashtag Royal Wedding and tag BBC One in your pictures.
Do we have some pictures? Have we got time for the picture?
I don't know if we have got time for pictures.
No, we don't, because it's time to go to the very latest from Bride HQ, also known less covertly as Meghan's Hotel, with Tina.
I'm very excited to be outside Bride HQ because we've got exactly an hour to go now until that absolutely crucial moment where we get the first glimpse of Meghan's dress. It will no doubt be the biggest fashion moment of the year. The big questions, of course, who will she be wearing? What will she be wearing? Now, there have been various comings and goings to and from the hotel. Dark cars with blacked out windows, but no clues, I'm afraid. It's a fiercely guarded secret. I can tell you that the finishing touches to hair and makeup are taking place inside the hotel right now. I can also tell you that we haven't seen the page boys and bridesmaids because they will be meeting Meghan at St George's Chapel. Now, these final moments must be nerve-wracking for any bride, but the entire world will be watching when Meghan departs from this hotel and makes her way to Windsor Castle, accompanied by her mum, Doria. So, yes, it's a national occasion, but inside there, a mother and daughter are sharing a deeply intimate moment right now, that precious and private time together before they set off shortly and face the world media. You can only imagine what's going through Meghan's mind right now and how her mum, Doria, is feeling as she watches her daughter, her only child, get ready to marry a prince. It's the ultimate fairy tale.
Tina Dahealy, thank you so much for that. So we'll be coming and going, we think, from Clifton. For now, let's take a little look at the guests as they filter in to St George's Chapel in Windsor. Jo Elvin, our fashion expert for the day, is here. Well, you spend your life looking at fashion,
morning.
So what do you make of these pictures?
It's not a bad life, is it? I mean, everybody just looks absolutely fantastic. I love all the colour that we're seeing. Is this, oh, I thought that was a Malvin, it's not, is it? But that's, oh, Alexei and his partner there. I love that mint green. I think that there's, you know, it's a beautiful spring day, and a wedding, I think, is a perfect excuse to bring the colour, which everybody's doing.
I was expecting to see a lot more sort of pastels, that kind of shell pastel pink. We haven't really seen that. We've seen a lot of bold colour.
Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, I think that there's sort of like more wintry jewel tones have come through for spring a lot, so you've seen a lot of like the emerald greens. As you're wearing yourself today, Miss Young, looking fantastic in your Roland. But, oh, now that's something amazing, isn't it?
That is a wonderful outfit.
That is bringing the festive. I like it.
Are you spotting among, I've seen, obviously there have been some sensational headgear. Are you spotting trends, Jo, in the headgear? Do you think, is there a look that people tend to be going for?
What I'm noticing is that we're sort of like either going big or going really tiny. There's sort of like, doesn't seem to be much in between at the moment. There's not many fascinators. That used to be a real thing, the thing that people used to gravitate to if they were scared to wear a hat.
There's, that's Chelsea Davy, an ex-girlfriend, we believe, of Prince Harry, and she's looking, I have to say, rather thoughtful as she sits in St George's Chapel.
Yes.
And that's quite a tit for, isn't it? That's a great hat.
That is amazing. I mean, I'm going to guess something like Philip Tracy, who tends to sort of kit out the royals, doesn't he? But yes, it's absolutely gorgeous. And again, that's sort of like that wintry tone, but it works because it just looks so kind of festive again.
And that, madam, is a hat. What do you think, Jo?
But that's the thing. I just feel like if you... Oh, look at this one here. The feathers sticking up there. That's incredible. But I just think if you're going to wear a hat, own it. Go for it. How often do we get to do it?
Well, we were rather cheekily referring to Beatrice and Eugenie's remarkable hats in 2011 back at the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's. I think that one is right up there.
I really want Beatrice and Eugenie to sort of like push the boat even more, just to own it. Yeah.
It can be difficult to wear a hat, though, can't it?
Well, I think so, yeah. Especially with me, when you just look bold if you wear a hat.
And we're looking at James. Yeah, there's Pippa.
Pippa's wearing today, she's wearing the Fold, which is a British brand, sort of like very sort of pared down, like the capsule wardrobe, the ultimate capsule wardrobe.
That's what she's wearing today. And the Fold is made in Britain. That's one of their selling points, absolutely. Is that they like to say it's British design and it's British made.
And there's...
And that was Annabelle Goldsmith. I thought it was Annabelle Goldsmith, maybe, but was it Carol Middleton?
I think it was Carol Middleton,
Just
yes.
sneaked out of frame. There we are. There's Carol.
She wore
Carol and Michael
Middleton.
Middleton.
This time than last time.
I know.
She looks fantastic in those pastels. I always remember her baby blue from Kate's wedding.
The man that is shaking hands there with Carol Middleton is, of course, Paddy Harbison, who worked at Manchester United and then went on as head of communications to the boys at St James's Palace. He was very accomplished at his job and was seen to throw down a ring of steel when need be, but was very fair in his dealings with the press.
He was instrumental as well about getting Harry out to the suitor, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He was, and he looks relaxed. He's moved on. He's not having to deal with all the backroom shenanigans today, so a day of celebration for him. And so it's a splendid day here in Windsor at St George's Chapel. Welcome to you if you're joining us here on BBC One. We will, of course, have the ceremony at midday. And it couldn't be a better day. Fortune is smiling on the bride and groom with this weather. Now, let's take a look. Are we going to look at some pictures?
Yeah, let's take a look at some messages, find out how you're celebrating. I just think we've got some pictures today.
What have we got? Let's take a look at the pictures. We'll see them when you see them.
This is Moses, my 7-year-old son. It's his drawing, rather, of the royal couple that he did at school yesterday. Nice work, Moses.
That is pretty good, actually.
You're going to celebrate by watching it on TV whilst decorating crown biscuits. That's from Tamsin Nelson.
Claire says, yeah, getting in the mood to celebrate. Now, you see, I do like these masks.
Oh.
And look at that, a very splendid...
A very happy spaniel.
Yes, Union Jack bow tie. And there's the royal couple, a different royal couple.
Look at the little fella. To celebrate Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from their namesakes, Meghan and Prince Harry. Lovely. OK, time to go back to Anita Rani at Castle grounds, who's managed to collar a wedding guest before she takes a seat in the chapel. Is it a zoned, or are we talking quiet here, Anita?
Sir Clive, Lady Jane Woodward, welcome to Windsor. What an amazing day.
Amazing. Thanks, Anita. Yes, it's a real honour to be here.
Now, you have quite a strong relationship with Prince Harry. Tell me where it started. It's all because of his love for rugby, of course, isn't it, Sir Clive?
Well, yeah, he absolutely loves rugby, and I think we first met Harry when he was 13. He came to Twickenham, and they had him in the Royal Box in his nice suit and all that. And I think afterwards I saw him, and he didn't look over happy. And I said, look, we've got to change this. So we just changed the whole routine. The RFU were great. We sort of gave him 6 tickets, brought his friends along. He sat in the crowd with his rugby shirt and his hat, and he started to really enjoy it. Always came to change room afterwards. The players really loved him. So yeah, we started then, and he's been a big fan ever since, I think.
And is it true that Johnny Wilkinson gave him a rugby top?
Yeah, it was very true. He still wears it now. I don't think he's ever washed it. So no, after the game, he came out once and he grabbed me and said, "Look what I've got." And of course, we used to insignia the shirts. So Johnny Wilkinson, how many caps, and he's never washed it ever, and he still wears it now.
Jane, you were known for throwing legendary parties in the car park. Tell us more about these parties.
Well, it was a way of looking after all of the wives and girlfriends and mums and dads, because obviously there weren't enough tickets to go around inside. And that's where Harry and William used to come with all their friends. So, and mingle and get stuck in and hand around the cakes and the pastries and the champagne and things, and then we'd all go in and watch the game. And he started coming in '98. So it was a fantastic support, really, for us.
Tell us about baking for Prince Harry.
I'm a dreadful baker, but every now and again I had to go to school to see him, take tickets and do things. So I'd take along some cakes for him and his friends. So, I mean, whether they ate them or not...
They were great cakes. They were great cakes.
Yeah,
they're lovely cakes.
What cakes were they?
Yeah, sponge cakes.
Sponge
mostly.
cakes.
That's about all I can do.
Who doesn't love a sponge cake? How proud are you both feeling today?
Yeah, bursting, thanks. Yeah, it's lovely.
I'm really proud because I've seen him grow up since a young boy, and I think we're all hugely proud. You see the welcome today, and I think it's a big day, and he just looks really happy, and that's all we want. And so no, from our point of view, he's been a massive support on the rugby side, and just a great guy, and just delighted to be here and really happy for him.
Yeah. And yeah, wonderful to see him so happy. We wish them all the best.
Absolutely, we do. And you both look gorgeous. Have a great day. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to Sir Clive and Lady Woodward there, and guests still arriving in this lovely sunshine in Windsor at St George's Chapel, and we've seen the chapel filling up pretty quickly. Earl Spencer chatting to some of the guests there in the choir, but we have at least 200 or 300 people in the chapel now. Dan Snow there, my colleague from the BBC, the broadcaster, and his wife. I'm just wondering at this point what the nave is looking like, and that's it for you. About half full at the moment, so you know that means about a couple of hundred people there. So quite a few people still to arrive, and we've seen over the past 5 or 10 minutes or so, some of those people who've been associated with Prince Harry in the past, some friends of the family, and those indeed who've served with him in the armed forces too. And looking at these images with me is someone who knows Prince Harry well, and indeed William too. Their private secretary for 8 years, a role that he left in 2013, is Jamie Lowther-Pinkerton. Nice to have you with us, Jamie.
Good to see you.
Warm welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Isn't it a lovely day?
It's the most perfect day imaginable, yeah.
As an event, when you think back to the fact that you knew the boys when they were very young, they needed lots of help and guidance at one stage, understandably. Here we are today, celebrating an event like this. The transition for you must seem to be a very satisfying one.
Well, I think for me it's a sort of culmination of what has been a great journey for Prince Harry, actually. He was always very special, and I don't mean that in a sort of courtier way.
No.
Just a very good guy, actually, and he had potential really from the word go, and it's great to see it all come to fruition and him on his great and happy day.
What do you make of the partnership?
I think it's unbelievable. I think it's a wonderful modern coming together, actually, and I think with Harry and his way of doing things, it really means that they'll be able to do great things together, actually.
Looking at more people arriving, and I'm just thinking, what are your thoughts on the mix of people that we have here today? What does it tell us about them?
Well, I think it reflects the sort of eclectic nature of Prince Harry, in that he's primarily interested in people. And actually, what you're seeing here is nothing less than the mix of what he's always been fascinated by, which is people. Yeah.
The circle of friends is interesting for us to see, obviously, because it's not obvious to the public very often, where the circle of friends is and what kind of friends there are. Describe the friendships for us. How do they work out?
I think it's actually fairly similar to anybody, in that you layer up your friendships as you go through life. Obviously, it's a very different life to most of us, which Prince Harry has had. But it's school friends, it's army friends. Yeah. The army has played a huge part in his life, and he's obviously been in more than one regiment. So he's got friends from the Household Cavalry, he's got friends from the Army Air Corps, and then he's got his friends actually from his charitable work and the work as a member of the royal family.
So the best man, as we know, is William, the brother, and there was a little dig saying that revenge would be sweet or some such line in a playful way. How do you think that's going to work out? What's that partnership like?
Well, I think one of the reasons that we're very lucky in this country, and I don't wish to sound sort of sycophantic here, but they are both really good guys, and actually they both come at the problem from completely opposite angles, problem or opportunity or whatever you want to call it, and they're entirely complementary to one another, and they always have been. I mean, you've seen lots of things they've done together over the years, and actually they are very close when they have that very healthy sibling rivalry, take the mickey out of each other.
Marcus Mumford on his way into the and Carrie Mulligan, of course, his wife, they're on their way into St George's Chapel. One of a range of celebrities and entertainers, because again, Jamie, just to reflect what we were saying earlier, and there we have Lorraine Hegarty, who's the Chief Executive of the Royal Foundation there. And there we have, Jamie, possibly possibly one of the biggest names. That's George and Amal Clooney. Again, telling us something, not just about celebrity, but about the fact that this is a couple, again, engaged in campaigning, engaged in saying something.
It is. And I think, you know, right back to the foundation of Sentebale and Lesotho, and you probably heard about that already today. Harry has always had this, and it amazed me, actually, coming across a 21-year-old boy, when I first did, boy, man, whatever, who had such a drive on that side, actually, and this is just a reflection of it.
And there we have the Beckhams too. So this really is the celebrity few minutes, and again, a reflection for us of the kind of status and scope of this congregation. Lovely to see them. They're all enjoying. Clooney's there clearly basking in the sunshine, and indeed, dare I say, basking in all the admiration and the applause, and the Beckhams too, clearly having a fantastic time. So let's join Dermot and Kirsty once again.
Wow, haven't the A-listers all turned up at the same time?
Well, that was extraordinary, wasn't it? George and Amal Clooney, you really can't underestimate the sheer star wattage. Is somebody lighting them as they walk down there? Because they just are shining. I'm going to take a little bit of a punt and say that I think that Amal Clooney is wearing Amelia Wickstead. I am probably entirely wrong, and we're going to speak to Jo Elvin about that when she is back.
If you're right,
about the
that's
fashion.
so impressive.
If I am right,
I said to you just now, and within a split second, you just went.
And there we go. We see David Beckham taking, well, it wasn't quite a selfie, but somebody was having a snap, and the shades are back on. Victoria is wearing a very elegant, it looks like a deep blue dress she's wearing, and a hat with a veil, and I imagine that her seamstresses at her fashion brand have been very busy this week.
And just before, we saw Marcus Mumford and Kerry Mulligan as well.
I am very, very admiring of George for many reasons, but one of them is that he is walking nice and slowly because he knows that Amal's in heels. And I'll tell you something, it takes a bit of time to negotiate the ancient cobbles of St George's.
Well, also, we were up the top yesterday. We went for a little look around, and where the guests get dropped off, where they walk down, that is a hill with a significant gradient for heels. That's all I could think of was my wife would not be happy right now.
But do you know what? Amal Clooney is an accomplished human rights lawyer. I think heels on cobbles is the least of her worries. And there we see Johnny Wilkinson. That's Tom Bradbury of ITN, who we've been reading recently has been having sleep problems, but obviously he looks like he's had a good night's sleep last night.
There's Johnny Wilkinson.
Johnny Wilkinson and his wife with a lovely bump under her beautiful lace dress. And a wave for the crowds, what they've been waiting for.
Seems like about 10:30 is the time to stay,
yes,
to turn up to the wedding, isn't it?
I know, that must have been a bit of a jostle there for them as they were coming down. Do we want to be before or after George and Amal? Let's go to Anita Rani.
I'm with Tessie Ojo, who's the Chief Executive of the Diana Award. You're at Meghan and Harry's wedding, Tessie.
Oh my God, someone pinch me. This is amazing. It's so exciting. The weather's great. Like, this is incredible. I'm so excited. Such an honor. On behalf of everyone at the Diana Awards, we are so honored to be here. We've got about 10 young people as well here with me. Just incredible, incredible. What a spotlight on the charities they support, and what a spotlight about bringing charities in, bringing Princess Diana very much into the ceremony today. It's just incredible.
I mean, how many qualities does Prince Harry share with his mum?
Oh my goodness, one of the things that we see at the Diana Award is that Princess Diana is remembered for her qualities of compassion, kindness and service, and that's exactly how we would describe both Prince Harry and Prince William. You know, this wedding just demonstrates how much service is important to them and how much humanitarian work is important to them. So bring it on, we're very excited.
It says so much about this young couple, doesn't it, that they have said to everybody, just donate to 7 charities, and they've invited all of you here. Going forward, this is going to be fantastic, isn't it?
They're both a powerful goods. You know, both of them individually are very ingrained in humanitarian work, but together they're a force for good. And this is massive news. This is huge. You know, one of the things I was saying yesterday is that I see Meghan redefining what a princess means. A princess is not simply about golden sandals or glass ceilings. It's about service. It's about people. It's about caring for. It's about compassion and empathy. And that's what I'm really excited about.
And you said that you've brought how many people from the charity?
10, yes.
And you are wearing a design by one of the young people you've helped, right? Tell me all about this.
So one of our young people was what part of my styling team, but my dress is actually designed by a fabulous lady called Gunel. They're amazing. She's done my hat, my dress, and it's just been incredible. So huge thank you to everyone. I have, one of the things I really wanted to do was how do, in the ethos of the Diana Awards, let's allow young people to shine through this process. So they're here with me. We were very much involved in thinking about the outfit and what it meant. So yeah, it's been an incredible process.
Well, Tessie, you look fantastic. Have
you.
an amazing day. Hooray for the weather.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All the best. Lovely to see you.
It's a day for kisses, isn't it? And the beautiful flowers there behind Jessie, we saw have been done by Philippa Craddock and her team. The whole of St George's Chapel is just, it's a magnificent building anyway, but it has come alight today with the guests full of good cheer in this late spring sunshine.
Give us a smile, Victoria.
George and Amal. It would be nice if Victoria Beckham smiled. Maybe.
Well, she said
We're here for hours.
Good cheer.
Anything could happen. But we know that George Clooney is smiling. He is giving it.
Beaming.
Yeah, beaming. There he is in the choir. There, as was explained by Hugh, there is the nave, which is the greater part of the building, and then the choir with this, the dark, the choir. So that's the nave there. And there is Mr. Nicholas Jones. That happens to be my old man.
Hey.
I'm sitting here working. He's doing that, and there's one of my daughters, Freya Jones.
Okay, let's just have a little talk about his pocket square. That is.
Okay, yeah.
Did you give him that?
Yeah, I wouldn't have tucked it in like that, though, Nick. Come on, tuck it in, mate. I wish you could hear me. And so they're mixing with the guests, and it is lovely to see them. They're speaking to the Beckhams, and it's the first time that my daughter...
What a day for your daughter.
What a day for Freya, who's 17. It's the first time she's ever worn a hat. She said, Mum, how do you wear a hat? I said, you just wear a hat.
Yeah.
You've just got to get on with it. And there's Dan Snow talking to George and Amal Clooney. It is a fascinating... Lady Edwina Grosvenor is his wife. She's standing next to him with a beautiful summer dress and hat on. I have to say, watching all of this, what is fascinating, well, what people are wearing is fascinating, but it is the social mix. And as we were hearing from Jessie, it's not about golden slippers and princesses and privilege. It's about the coming together of the worlds of these two people who are in love. And in the mix of the guests, Dermot, we seem to see that today. We're looking at the worlds of high society, of showbiz, of charity, of sports stars, of movie stars. They're all there.
We've never really seen a wedding like this before with the royal family, have we? Obviously, of course, there's that innate sense of privilege with some of the guests, and then you've got this, like you said, you've got A-listers from America, you've got famous sports stars, you've got mutual friends of the couple as well.
I think it makes a very big difference. We saw the state occasion in 2011, which was, of course, a feast for the eyes and an incredible thing to see, but not having the politicians here, not having the heads of state who don't actually know the couple, seems to make everything just a bit more relaxed and friendly.
Do you think that's big in many ways because it's here, because this is the royal family's proper home? Windsor Castle is where they see as home. This is Harry's home. This is the Queen's home.
Could have something to do with it. We're going to go to Ori now, right?
Yes, indeed. Ori's been catching up with more guests in the grounds of the castle. Let's see who's got them.
Well, what's so exciting about this wedding is the welcoming of Meghan Markle and her family within the royal family. Leonora, you're one of the lucky people to have already met Meghan Markle. What was that like?
It was amazing. She's so funny, beautiful, and she's just got an amazing personality.
And she came to visit you at your school at Nottingham Academy, but it was not long after that she came back. Tell us why.
When she came with Harry, I asked her to promise that she will come back, and she did end up coming back in less than a period of 6 weeks.
That's incredible. To have the future royalty come to your school, Deputy Principal Helen Folger with us as well. I mean, just it's incredible to be here at this event, but having been there up and close with these two royals, it must have been an amazing moment for the whole school.
Oh, absolutely. It was so inspirational for all of the students, and they met lots and lots of the pupils on that day, chatted to them, gave them words of advice. It was lovely.
And do I hear that they're not too much a fan of the surprise the surprise visit. What happened when they surprised you at the school?
Yeah, Leonora's had 2 surprise visits.
Yeah.
So Harry came on his own, and Leonora was told that her mentor's boss was coming to see her.
Right.
And actually it was Prince Harry. There was lots of screaming from the girls, as you can imagine.
But they weren't ready.
They weren't ready. They hadn't done their eyebrows.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But how lovely to have them visit. And can I just say, I don't think I've seen better headwear today. Incredible. You both look fantastic. Enjoy the day representing Nottingham Academy, but enjoy it for yourselves as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, yesterday evening, we were all rather captivated. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself.
Oh, no, you're not.
By Nacho Figueres, who works a lot with Harry, with his charity, Sent to Bali, and also is a top drawer. If you know anything about polo, I don't, but if you do, you will know that Nacho is the very best of the best. He also happens to be a Ralph Lauren model in his spare time.
He made quite the impression in the studio yesterday.
Yes, he did. And there he is with Mrs. Figueres. They have 4 children, and they are what she looks absolutely ravishing in that turquoise gown and beautiful sort of boater-style hat, I think. And there's St. George's Chapel.
All a little taken back by Nacho yesterday, weren't we?
I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to get myself into trouble. Now, as soon as their engagement was announced in November last year, Prince Harry and Meghan made a concerted effort to head out and around the UK to meet the people. First off, they went to Nottingham, you might remember that, and then their second official visit as a couple was to Represent Radio, which is a station in Brixton in South London, where they were lucky enough to meet Munya Chawawa and Henrietta Bushuwe, and they join us now. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
You look gorgeous, first of all.
Thank you
for coming.
So guys, what was it like when they came down? Tell us about it.
I think the undercurrent of the visit, at first when it was announced, I think it was a case of, wait, they're coming to Brixton to a grime radio station. You know, it was shock, everyone was shocked, but actually, almost immediately as they arrived, I think the very kind of inclusive feel of Represent hit them. And that's what we're all about.
So Harry didn't have any connections with the radio station before in any way?
I think he might have done a set back in 19... maybe. But I think, you know, when they came, they really started to explore because, you know, Meghan had done her research. She knew a little bit about us. And they started to explore all the work we've done with schools, you know, tackling mental health.
Well, I think this sends a huge message, the fact that they chose you guys as their second official visit, and then the first visit was to the Terence Higgins Trust, the HIV centre up in Nottingham.
Henrietta, what was it like to meet them? What were they like?
They were so lovely. It was almost like just like meeting like an old friend. They kind of like very personable people. They were very, very, very lovely. And on top of that, again, Meghan knew everything about us without us even having to say, which was amazing. Like, she came up with facts. Like, we train 400 people every single year. She knew that without us even having to say. And for her to do that, it just shows that she really cares about young people and about the work that we do at Represent, which is very important.
That's so interesting to hear, because people, you know, in your business, and you will meet a lot of people. In our business, we do too. And you can so easily tell the difference between somebody who's sort of professionally nice and moving on and somebody who seems to be engaged.
100%.
Manya, you felt they knew what you were about and they were genuinely interested.
Absolutely. First time I spoke to Prince Harry, kind of cocked his ear, ready to listen to what we had to say. And he was really inquisitive about, because I think initially he thought it was a radio station, and then, as I said, all of the stuff we've been doing in schools to do with mental health, that kind of immediately took his attention. When you look at the backdrop of charity work that they've both done, I think actually he saw that, you know, Represent as the reason it was picked is because it's much more than a radio station, and it spreads out into so many tangents.
I have to say, when we see Joss Stone, we're speaking about music, usually Joss Stone has her hair flowing, she's got bare feet, and she's kind of wearing something that's like a very cool kaftan. Well, not today. Joss Stone has really made quite a considerable effort. She's looking beautiful. We know she's a friend of Harry's. We've seen them together, laughing together on many occasions. She's played at gigs that he's enjoyed, and here she is today, heading to her friend's nuptials.
Guys, did you speak to the you know, what impact do you think it made to the young people of Brixton for those, for Meghan and Harry to go down? Did you speak to those young guys?
I think it was quite important for us for them to come because, again, it just shows that they really care about what we do and what we get up to on a day-to-day basis. As a radio station, we get like 2,000 unsigned artists, and it's just really important for them to...
And what's happened since the visit? What's happened?
It's been crazy.
Has it?
Yeah, it has. Like, yeah, it has. I think the day after I went there, people were like, oh my God, you met Harry, you met Meghan, and it was crazy. But on top of that, it was really good because it shone a really big light on Represent and the work that we do outside of radio as well.
I don't know if it's important to you or not, Manya, but I'm interested in what you have to say on this. Is it important to you that the royal family is welcoming into its heart somebody who's biracial? Is that significant?
The way I see it, just from all the time we spent around, you know, young people at Represent, is that for our generation, things like equality, inclusivity, and love in all its forms, for us, that's the norm. You know, that's how it should be. But actually, you know, with the stuff that's happened in the last couple of years, there was a massive question mark over whether, well, is it the norm anymore?
Yeah.
You know, we had Brexit and then we had certain political decisions in the US. But I feel like this wedding today is a massive thumbs up from the top that says, actually, we're going exactly the way we need to be going. Keep, you know, as you were signed the royal family. That's what it feels like.
Such an interesting answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Enjoy
much.
your day. Thank you.
Nice
We are back with you, I believe.
Yes, we are. And here we are at our guardroom roof with our fantastic view of the lower ward. We've seen lots of the guests arriving. And with me is someone with a very precise eye on these things, royal correspondent for Hello magazine, Emily Nash. Emily's lovely to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's, you know, we've talked a bit about the fashions, we've talked a bit about what do you make of the event in terms of who's here? Tell us about your reading of that.
I mean, we've just had a little flurry of A-listers. It's a real meeting of royalty and Hollywood royalty today. So we're seeing lots of big names, the Clooneys, the Beckhams. We're going to see a few more, I suspect.
Yeah.
But what I love about this wedding is you've also got other people, sort of more unsung heroes, if you like, friends of the bride and groom who have brilliant stories to tell as well. And among them people like Dean Stott, you know, who has just smashed this record for the cycling the length of 2 continents.
That's right, that's right.
Got back here in time for the wedding.
Looking at the congregation there, and you know, it's pretty packed now, isn't it? It's really getting quite full, and most of the main guests in the nave have arrived. When we see a little later on Meghan arriving, and we see the 10 bridesmaids and page boys, tell us a little bit about the selection in that group and what you make of that.
They have chosen children who are very close to them. So obviously you have Prince George and Princess Charlotte, who are the niece and nephew of the couple. But they also have the children of their closest friends. So we're going to see 3 children of Jessica and Ben Mulroney, who are Meghan's closest friends. We're going to see some of Prince Harry's godchildren as well. And I understand we're going to have a few of the mothers in the mix as well, just to wrangle them into position.
When we look at the service, are you expecting the content and the shape of the service to tell us something about their tastes and the fact that, you know, are they going to be trying to make a kind of statement with that in terms of how modern it is in parts of it? What's your reckoning?
I think it's going to be relatively relaxed by the standards of royal weddings. You're still going to have the formalities, you know, there's going to be the national anthem. I'm sure there'll be a curtsy to the Queen before they leave the church. But, you know, we've got this gospel choir singing Benny King and Etta James tracks. I mean, what's not to love? It's going to be great fun.
Well, I'm just thinking at this point, you know, when we go through the service, that, as you say, the music is fantastic, and we look at the kind of range of people here, then I'm thinking, do you know what? This is not a bad place to be, is it, in the lower ward itself? It's lovely to be in the chapel, but chatting to people down here earlier on, by the way, lots of the people in this lower ward are part of the community of Windsor Castle. I should explain this. You know, there's quite a big community of people who live within the castle itself.
That's right.
And they are among the most excited of all.
They're hosting the party, you know, and there's a real festival feeling. We were joking about our wristbands earlier, but it is very much Glastonbury without the mud. A lot of fun out there. People are really enjoying the spectacle.
And a thought from you about, you know, a few minutes to midday, when the bride arrives, just before the service starts, what are your thoughts on what we might see in terms of a wedding dress? Because clearly the speculation is pretty intense.
Look, whatever I say now, I might be setting myself up for a big fall.
Give me a range of options.
There are some big names. I mean, Stella McCartney, I think, would be a great choice for Meghan. She's got all the ethical credentials, simple, beautiful, elegant styles. Ralph and Russo, obviously, are still in the mix. We're also hearing other names, perhaps less expected. Claire Waite-Keller is also in the mix. She has led some very big fashion houses here. So I think, you know, we're not going to know until that door opens. It's going to be a huge moment.
Prince Zaso, who was very kindly in the studio with us a little earlier. We've seen his wife as well. He's now making his way into the choir. He has a pretty prominent place in the choir opposite where the royal family is sitting. He's been sitting on the same side as some of the other guests in the choir stalls, including the Clooneys and Oprah Winfrey, among others. But he's there, of course, because he has played such a big part in setting up of the charity that Harry really has given so much effort and time to, which is Centre Barley. So, as More guests arriving, and I think I'm going to just say, Emily, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks so
and
much.
Enjoy it.
I will do.
Enjoy it, and we'll see what happens at 2 minutes to midday. We're looking forward to that.
Me too.
Let's join Kirsty and Dermot again.
Thank you, Hugh. Joe's back with us. I want to talk to Joe, but just been handed this, which is...
This is sort of fascinating, and it kind of comes within your remit, sort of fashion, because it is to do with adornment. We've
Prince
just
Harry
learned this.
and Miss Meghan Markle have chosen Cleveland Company to make the wedding rings.
Yes.
So, as expected, Miss Markle's ring has been fashioned by a piece of Welsh gold gifted by Her Majesty the Queen, which
As
is
they tradition.
But Prince Harry will be wearing a platinum band with a textured finish.
This is very unusual because we know that William does not wear a wedding band. We know that the Prince of Wales, I think, wears a signet ring. The Duke of Edinburgh, of course, does not wear a wedding ring. That was not the tradition when they were getting married. And so, oh, there we are. There is Elton John. And David Furnish with him, sporting a beard and looking splendid.
James Blunt and his wife,
and James,
sporting
James
Valentino.
She's wearing Valentino.
Yes.
Can I ask you, you've been keeping, Joe Elvin, a very close eye on the fashion of the guests. I took a complete punt, and I'm sure I'm wrong. I looked at Amal Clooney, and I thought that there is a fantastic British designer called Amelia Wickstead, who designs very proper dresses.
I can absolutely see why you've gone there. It has her classic look, but it is, in fact, a Stella McCartney.
Right, so I was totally wrong. I did say I was wrong.
I only know that because I was told. I would have guessed that too. Yes.
I would have put my house on that because of you.
The thing is, Dermot, if you say it with confidence, you can get away with a lot.
Well, that's
I was just thinking,
I'll channel that.
So that was Stella McCartney. It was absolutely remarkable.
And, you know, as I said earlier, I'm a sucker for yellow, but the buzz already is that that's the outfit of the day, bar the wedding dress, obviously. So, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, then, the Meghan effect. Let's talk about, because, you know, we hear about this, but is it a real thing? We know that when, for example, they got engaged, which was the first time that we all got to really clap our eyes on them properly and officially as a couple. There we are. That was the day. They came out into the garden at Kensington Palace. She was wearing a very distinctive white coat.
The Line the Label coat, which that brand has actually now renamed the Meghan coat.
Is it?
In honour of the Meghan effect, which is so real, Kirsty and Dermot, that it's actually quite terrifying for a lot of brands when they can't actually keep up with the demand. And that was a case in point where they had ended up with like a 6-month waiting list for that coat. Meghan, of course, is one step ahead of us all. She owns it in an assortment of colours. You can get it now, but I think there's a waiting list again. It's about £450, so it's a reasonable-ish entry point for a coat if you want a bit of the so-called Markle sparkle, I guess.
We touched on this a little bit last night as well. The championing of small brands, both with Catherine and with Meghan, is a huge thing because, I mean, this can make a whole business, can't it?
Yes, and I really admire actually Meghan's obvious thoughtfulness into that sort of, like, you know, she's championed small Scottish bag brand like Strathbury, another one called Demelier, which actually funds vaccines for every bag they sell for children. So she puts it's very considered.
I mean, the fashion business, it is big business. It's a multi-billion-pound business for Britain, and it's a thing we're very, very good at.
It's bigger than the car industry.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's remarkable. So when these small brands are taken up by Meghan, and she wears a pair of Welsh jeans that nobody's ever heard of.
Yes.
How does a company then try to deal with the reality of the sudden increased traffic on their website, if they even have one?
Well, I think that's what brands are finding. They have to navigate as it happens. And in fact, that brand that you mentioned, that denim brand, they're called Hyatt, I think. I love the story. They sort of like started in a small town in what was an abandoned jeans factory that used to manufacture for big brands. And they sort of like decided to bring this brand back to the town. And it was when Meghan wore those jeans, suddenly they've had to move premises.
So you're talking about jobs?
Oh, absolutely.
You were saying that we just saw another shot of Amal Clooney. There's Elton John, but we were looking at Amal a moment ago in this beautiful sort of Coleman's mustard-coloured dress and hat designed by Stella McCartney.
That's a good reference. I was going to go canary yellow, but yeah.
I think it's more Coleman's, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit peppery, a little bit hot.
Can anybody but Amal wear that colour?
That is a colour for somebody who's very dark, isn't it? It's beautiful against her dark hair. But interestingly, Stella McCartney is an interesting brand to choose, not just because she knows how to rock it, but also because she's very interested in ethical fashion. Look at the detail on the back there, Joe.
It's absolutely stunning, and I mean, I think that's why people are speculating that it's a very good match for Meghan and her ethical principles. I mean, that's just absolutely gorgeous. That's sort of like show-stopping. I don't think she needs to get changed for evening, does she?
I think she probably will.
But it's kind of worked. It's a good day-to-night transition.
I wonder then, when it comes to, you know, Stella McCartney talks about the ethical input to her brand, and they do these great big audits. You spoke to me last night, we were doing a little preview last night, and you said there had been a rumour that Stella McCartney could be designing the wedding dress itself. Yes. Now that would be a very interesting choice, because it is probably the biggest environmentally conscious fashion brand.
Yes, and I think, well, what's big for Stella is being totally against animal cruelty. So there's no leather, there's no fur, everything's sort of man-made, as it were. And that's hugely important to her and her family. And so I think that, again, Meghan does put a lot of consideration into her fashion choices. So on that sort of level, it makes sense.
So we're seeing some wonderful pictures now of inside St George's Chapel. We're seeing the guests, yeah, there's Jess Stone, all the guests surrounded by these remarkable flowers that have been done by Philippa Craddock, and more guests arriving in some. I know we're talking about the outfits, but I have to say, I think the outfits are jaw-dropping. Look at that. What a feast for the eyes, Jo Elvin.
It really is. It's such a, and it, you know, it should be a spectacle. It's an amazingly beautiful spring day.
We can see just in on the right-hand side of James, your TVs, yeah, it's James and his wife, Jules Corden. James, of course, now a very big star in America, the star of Carpool Karaoke and many other things beside. Tonight with James Corden is his talk show. He is, of course,
hasn't he done well? Now, Julie
many awards, and these are some of the actresses from Suits.
Yeah.
Oh,
goodness me, they are done up to beat the band.
Do you think when they were sitting in their green room on that, when they started that little show, they'd think they'd end up here? It's crazy, right?
And what do you make of those outfits? I think they are utterly breathtaking.
They're stunning.
We're looking at Priyanka Chopra on the right.
Yes, very, very different. I mean, that looks, that almost looks like Ralph and Russo-ish to me. That looks a lot like their tailoring. And I think that very, very different, sort of like very day, very sort of structured in the spots there, which is really gorgeous. And then really quite dramatic with that orange, almost sort of like evening sweeping going. And of course, we know Meghan is a fan of a cape, so.
Yes, she's worn Stella McCartney before.
That's right.
Well, I have to
down pat, haven't they?
For all of the 2,000 people specially invited to be inside the walls of Windsor Castle today, they have had a wonderful spectacle in there.
Oh, what a show.
James and Jules Corden. Jules herself used to work for Save the Children, now a busy mother of 3 young children, and James just enjoying the spectacle. He is Mr. Showbiz, but even for him, I think his breath might be rather taken away by what he's seeing today.
Joining James there, his producer, long-time partner Ben Winston on the right as well.
And I would like to issue a thank you to all the women who are guests today for putting in, Jo Elvin, all the effort. This doesn't happen by accident. These, these outfits take a lot of time and effort.
I think, yes, it would have taken many weeks of planning, and I think particularly when there is a hat, you kind of need to start with the hat and build around it.
That was a beautiful romantic dress that we saw there. Did you see that one, the flowing one with the sort of plissé silk? It was rather gorgeous and sort of against the trend, because there seems to be a lot of bodycon.
And is that Sarah Rafferty we're looking at there?
That's Sarah Rafferty, yes. Her Suits co-star looking utterly splendid. Now, talk to me about bell sleeves. That's a big thing.
I love a dramatic sleeve, don't you? She won't be eating much, I would have imagined, but it looks absolutely stunning.
I think we can see as well Rick Hoffman in front. That's Ben Winston. That's James's long-time partner, his wife Mary, who's looking lovely. And then we saw Rick Hoffman, who Meghan says is one of the closest members of the Suits cast.
Yes, I think that...
that was Gabriel Macht, who's a co-star in Suits. They are coming thick and fast.
Loving the sort of like the, what do you call it, the cold shoulder on that green frock.
Yes, the sort of peekaboo shoulder.
Yes.
Sarah Rafferty again. Not a hair out of place.
Gorgeous embellishment detail on that as well.
It's interesting to see there have been quite a few women, Victoria Beckham among them, with that choosing a sort of dark navy, which can be seen as a safe colour, but actually when you've got so much embellishment on the dress and also a net with the hat, it lends it a great deal of drama.
And also if you wear a smile with them, and I think it is sort of like celebratory.
Well, Victoria didn't
say that.
But anyway, that's her concern. And there is Stephen Webster.
Miller, yes.
Yep. Looking splendid in his top hat, a slightly chimney pot top hat that had a little bit of a twist to it.
If Miller can't wear a top hat on a day like today.
But as you say, not many top hats.
Well, Miller is the only man wearing a top hat.
He's dusted it off.
And again, we hear that
It's Rick Hoffman. Patrick J. Adams is here. Now, when they got engaged, Patrick J. Adams plays the
On
love
the show,
interest
yes.
in the Suits. And when Harry and Meghan got engaged, he sent a lovely tweet out, which just said, all it said was, "I thought she was just popping out for milk."
And he was also asked, what was it like to kiss Meghan Markle, you know, now that she's engaged to Harry? He said it's just like it was to kiss her before she was engaged to Harry. So it was a screen kiss.
I'm loving that work
And
of art
so
on
we are
Serena's
seeing
head.
Serena
Yeah.
Williams, one of the greatest female tennis players ever to grace a court. And of course, very recently returned to the court after giving birth to her first child.
Married to Alexis Oehan, who's a co-founder of news website Meghan.
She just put on Instagram, just going to my friend's wedding.
Nice.
No big
No
deal.
biggie.
Yeah.
Are you seeing, as you look at guests today, 600 odd, and there again is Serena. I really do like her hat.
I love it.
Are you seeing trends?
Well, I mean, I think yes, I think I love that sort of like those structured, sort of like sculpted hats. I think that, you know, we kind of like mocked the whole Princess Eugenie and Beatrice thing, but perhaps
they were at the beginning of something.
Yeah, maybe they were the
Started it.
trailblazers. Yeah.
And just talk me through then, Jo Elvin, what you make as a fashion expert about what Serena Williams has chosen
Well,
to wear.
I love the sort of structured, chic tailoring of that. I think that it's a bodycon dress that still feels really sort of like flattering and quite easy to wear. I'd guess something like an Amelia Wickstead or perhaps a Roland, or maybe even their friend Misha Nonu. I can't say her last name, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, it is surely a lovely sight. The guests being greeted as they make their way into St George's Chapel. We know, of course, that the ceremony itself will start in just over an hour and 5 minutes. It's going to start at midday. We're going to go to Anita now,
Yeah,
Dermot?
let's head back to Anita now, who's with another very lucky wedding guest.
And with Sahani Jalota, who's the chief executive of Mina Mahila, all the way from India, one of the 7 selected charities that Harry and Meghan have asked people